People think heroes look like action movie stars. Muscles, confidence, swagger. But real heroes, the ones you never hear about, they look like ordinary people just trying to survive life. People like Mark Dalton, a single dad from a small town in Colorado who worked construction during the week, made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs on Saturdays, and spent every Sunday visiting his wife's grave with their daughter. And on one random Tuesday evening, Mark would take 2 bullets for a stranger, and rebuild far more than just 2 lives. Act 1 began the moment everything changed. Mark had just picked up his 8-year-old daughter Lily from school. She came bounding out with her mismatched backpack and a lopsided grin missing 2 front teeth. "Look, Daddy, I drew us," she said, holding up a picture of a stick figure dad with big arms and a tiny girl with star-shaped hair. Mark laughed, kissed her forehead, and promised it was going straight to the fridge the second they got home. They stopped at Brentwood Market on their way back. Spaghetti night. Lily's favorite. As they crossed the parking lot, Mark noticed a charcoal gray SUV idling near the entrance. 3 men sat inside, sunglasses on even though the sun was dipping behind the mountains. Something felt off, like a pressure drop before a storm. But Mark brushed it aside. Lily deserved a calm, smiling dad, not one who jumped at every shadow. Inside the store, everything seemed normal. Lily insisted on picking the pasta herself, of course. She marched toward the aisle, like she was leading an expedition. But as they reached the checkout line, Mark heard shouting near the front. Sharp. Angry. A woman's voice. "I told you, I don't have the files," she snapped. "I turned everything over to the state inspectors. What more do you want?" Mark shifted, craning his neck. A woman in a fitted charcoal blazer was backing away from 2 men. Her daughter. A girl around Lily's age, clung to her hip, wide-eyed and trembling. One of the men growled, lower this time. "Ms. Morales, this would have been easier if you just kept quiet. Mr. Vasquez doesn't like disloyalty." That got Mark's attention. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a threat. He turned to Lily. "Stay by the cart, princess. Don't move, okay?" She nodded, but her small hand clutched the edge of the cart like she knew something was wrong. Mark stepped forward. "Hey. Leave her alone." One of the men turned slowly. "This doesn't concern you, tough guy. Walk away." Mark's heart thudded hard. He was just a construction worker. Not a fighter, not a hero. But seeing that little girl hiding behind her mother, it reminded him too much of Lily. Too much of the promise he made to his wife the night she died: keep Lily safe. Keep Lily brave. "I said leave her alone," Mark repeated. The second man pulled a gun so fast it shocked the air out of Mark's lungs. People screamed. Shelves rattled as shoppers ducked. Lily cried out, "Daddy," voice trembling with raw fear. Ms. Morales shoved her daughter behind her. "Not in front of my child. Please." Mark made his choice before he even realized he'd moved. He lunged forward, shoving both mother and daughter sideways behind a display of cereal boxes. The gun went off with a crack that split the store in 2. Pain burned through Mark's shoulder like fire, but adrenaline shoved it aside. The second shot hit lower, tearing through his ribs. His knees buckled. He fell onto the cold tile. Breath shallow, blood pooling. "Run," he gasped. "Get your girl and run." Ms. Morales grabbed her daughter and bolted for the emergency exit. The men tried to chase, but chaos slowed them down. Mark tried to crawl toward Lily, her sobs echoing like they were underwater. But everything dimmed. The last thing he saw before darkness swallowed him was Lily screaming "Daddy!" as someone pulled her away from the spreading blood. When Mark woke 3 days later, the world was blurry, bright, and too quiet. He was in a hospital bed, machines humming around him. His younger brother, Tyler, sat slumped in a chair, face pale with worry. "You scared the hell out of us, man," Tyler said. "But Lily's okay. She's with Mom and Dad. She hasn't slept much." Mark swallowed, throat raw. "The woman. And the kid." "Safe," Tyler said. "Her name's Dr. Elena Morales. Civil engineer. Smart. Braver than she looks. She blew the whistle on her boss for using cheap materials in major buildings. And apparently, he hired thugs to shut her up. The cops got all of them. Because you stopped them." Mark leaned back, dizzy with relief and pain. The doctor later told him he was lucky. The bullets missed vital organs by inches. But the medical bills, $78,000. Mark had less than 9 saved. For the first time since losing his wife, he felt truly helpless. 10 days later, Elena Morales walked into his hospital room carrying flowers, her daughter Sophia clutching her hand. Elena's eyes were red, like she hadn't slept since the shooting. "Mr. Dalton," she began. "Please, call me Mark." Elena nodded. "Mark. You saved our lives. I don't know how to thank you." Sophia came forward shyly and handed Mark a drawing. It showed a man with a cape shielding 2 girls. "You're my hero," she whispered. Mark blinked fast, throat aching. "What's your name, sweetie?" "Sophia. But everyone calls me Sophie." "Thank you, Sophie. This is beautiful." Elena sat, twisting her hands. "Your brother told me about the medical bills. Please, let me help." Mark shook his head. "I'm not taking your money. I just did what anyone should do." Elena's voice hardened. "No. Most people would have looked the other way. You didn't." Before he could argue, Sophie tugged on her mother. "Mama, if Mr. Mark didn't help us, would he still have a daughter? Would Lily still have a dad?" The question hit like a punch to the heart. Elena's expression softened. "Please, Mark. Let me help. You have someone depending on you, too." He finally nodded. "But someday, I'm paying you back. Every cent." Elena smiled through tears. "Deal." Act 2 wasn't about recovery. It was about becoming a family without meaning to. Elena visited often. At first it was just to check on him. Then to help Lily with homework. Then to drop off meals. Little by little, she and her daughter slipped into Mark's life the same way warm sunlight slips into a cold room without asking permission. Lily and Sophie became inseparable. They drew pictures together, built pillow forts, whispered secrets. Both had lost someone. Both had seen something terrifying. Trauma bonded them in ways adults couldn't understand. Elena, meanwhile, struggled to find a job. Being a whistleblower came with consequences. Big firms avoided her. Too risky. Too honest. But she kept searching and refused to regret doing the right thing. For months after the shooting, Elena and Mark sat on his porch watching the girls chase fireflies. Elena spoke quietly. "When Sophie's father left, I buried myself in work. I thought I was being strong. But when those men came after me, all I could think about was her growing up without a mother. I would have traded every promotion for one more afternoon with her." Mark nodded. "After my wife died, I tried to be everything at once. I failed at that. But I guess trying means something." "You're more than trying," Elena said. "You took bullets for strangers. That's more than most people ever do." Their eyes met. Something shifted. Something dangerous and soft and new. But Sophie ran up with cupped hands full of fireflies, breaking the moment. Elena laughed, and the warmth stayed in the air long after the porch light flickered on. But the peace didn't last. 8 months after the shooting, Elena called Mark at work, voice shaking. "They're out. Vasquez's men. They made bail. There's a threat. I'm scared." Mark felt ice water crawl down his spine. "Where's Sophie?" "At school. I'm scared to go get her." "I'll get both girls," Mark said. "Don't move. Stay where people can see you." He picked up Sophie first, then Lily. Both girls sensed danger and stayed silent. At home, he locked all doors, shut curtains, kept the girls close. Elena arrived with a police escort an hour later. Detective Rowan explained the situation with clipped frustration. "We're assigning protection to Ms. Morales and her daughter." "And my family?" Mark demanded. "I took bullets. They saw my face." Rowan hesitated. "You're not the primary target." Mark stepped forward. "That didn't stop them from trying to grab my daughter at school once." Rowan sighed. "We'll increase patrols around your home. Vary your routines. Call 911 if you see anything." That night, Elena and Sophie stayed over. The house felt tense, like the air was holding its breath. After the girls finally fell asleep, Elena whispered, "I shouldn't have dragged you into my mess." Mark shook his head. "You didn't drag me. I walked in. I'd do it again." "Why?" Mark looked at the dark hallway where Lily slept. "Because my wife once told me something before she passed. Don't let grief make you small. Don't let fear turn you into someone you're not. Be the man Lily deserves. And part of that means helping people when it counts." Elena's voice cracked. "She must have been incredible." "She was. And she'd like you." Elena took a shaky breath. "Mark. I'm falling in love with you. I didn't mean to. But I can't pretend anymore." Mark swallowed hard. "My wife made me promise something else. Promise you'll love again. Lily needs a whole family. And so do you." Elena exhaled. "Then maybe we start there." Their first kiss was soft. Careful. Filled with everything unsaid between two people who'd been broken but still believed in hope. Act 3 erupted 2 days later. Emma's school called Mark at work. "Mr. Dalton, 2 men tried to pick up your daughter. Our staff noticed something wrong and stopped them. They fled before police arrived." Mark drove like a man possessed. Lily ran into his arms as soon as he walked through the door. "I didn't go with them, Daddy. I remembered what you said. You did perfect, sweetheart. Perfect. That was it. Enough running. Enough fear." The police moved Mark, Lily, Elena, and Sophie to a safe house 30 miles away. 3 bedrooms. Steel-reinforced doors. Cameras. Officers outside 24/7. Safe but suffocating. But life does funny things in tight spaces. There, in forced confinement, something extraordinary happened. They cooked together. They played board games for hours. They opened old wounds and cleaned them with honesty. Sophie learned to trust Mark. Lily grew to love Elena. 2 broken families fused into one without anyone realizing it. On day 12, Detective Rowan arrived, triumphant. "We got them. Both of them. They were planning to ambush you when you left. We trapped them. Vasquez is giving up names. You're safe." Elena collapsed into tears. Mark held her. The girls danced. They were finally free. Leaving the safe house felt surreal. Like walking out of a cocoon. But the bond they had formed there didn't fade. It deepened. That night, while the kids slept, Elena asked, "What happens to us now?" Mark smiled. "Whatever you want to happen." "I want this," she whispered. "You. Lily. Sophie. All of us. One family." Mark reached for her hand. "Then that's what we build." And build they did. 3 months later, they had a small courthouse wedding. The girls wore matching lavender dresses, throwing petals down the aisle like confetti. Mark's parents cried. Elena's mother hugged him and whispered, "Thank you for loving my daughter and granddaughter." They sold their separate homes and bought a bigger one together. 4 bedrooms. Backyard. Swing set. It wasn't fancy, but it was theirs. Mark went back to work part-time while his shoulder healed. Elena found a job with a smaller engineering firm that valued honesty over profits. The pay wasn't glamorous, but she slept peacefully at night. One evening, she laid blueprints on the kitchen table. "My firm wants to start a community program. Affordable housing for struggling families. We need a construction supervisor we can trust. Someone with experience and integrity. Mark, would you want the job?" He studied the plans. "I think, this might be exactly what I'm meant to do." The new job changed him. He was no longer just fixing houses. He was building homes for people who once felt as hopeless as he did. Their daughters kept growing. 2 years after the shooting, Sophie finally called Mark Papa Mark for the first time after he stayed up late helping her with a science project. The name stuck. Lily wouldn't stop smiling for days. Years passed, and their foundation, Second Sunrise, helped hundreds of families. Mark taught free safety classes. Elena spoke about courage and whistleblowing. Their daughters visited schools, reminding kids that fear doesn't define you unless you let it. But the most surprising moment came 3 years after the shooting. The phone rang. Prison call. Mark almost didn't answer. "Mr. Dalton," said a rough voice. This is Ernesto Ruiz. One of the men who shot you." Mark froze. "I don't expect forgiveness," Ruiz said. "But I needed to tell you. I'm sorry. You stepping in front of that woman. I never forgot it. I changed in here. Started helping other guys instead of hurting them. You showed me what courage looks like." Mark struggled to speak. "I don't forgive what you did. But I believe people can change. I hope you actually do." When Mark hung up, Elena squeezed his hand. "How do you feel?" "Not sure," he admitted. "Angry. Hopeful. Maybe both." She smiled softly. "That's kind of our whole story. Taking something terrible and turning it into something good." 5 years after the shooting, the mayor honored Mark and Elena for helping rebuild more than 300 families' lives. During the ceremony, countless people lined up to thank them, a mom whose new home gave her children safety for the first time, a teen who reported bullying after hearing Elena speak, a father who stopped drinking after Mark's class. Mark stood in his backyard that evening, watching Lily and Sophie, now teenagers, play basketball with friends. Elena joined him with lemonade. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "Everything," he said. "How one moment changed my whole life. And how, if I had walked away in that grocery store." Elena finished for him. "We wouldn't have this. No. We wouldn't." Their life wasn't perfect. Lily still had nightmares sometimes. Elena sometimes woke in cold sweats. Mark's shoulder ached on winter mornings. But they faced everything together. They'd earned that peace. Then one evening, the phone rang. The receptionist from their foundation, Ms. Morales. "We have a single father here with 2 kids. Lost his wife to cancer. He heard your story and asked if you could help." Elena's heart clenched. "Tell him yes. All the help he needs. We'll figure it out. Together." She walked outside. Mark had Lily on his shoulders while Sophie aimed for a basket. They were laughing. The kind of laughter you only hear from people who survived something impossible. He glanced at her with that same gentle smile. The one that said we made it. Because they had. 2 bullets. 2 families. 1 impossible act of courage. And from it came something stronger than pain, stronger than fear, something built not from perfect bricks but from broken pieces carefully put back together. Call to action. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Mark was right to get involved that day, even though it nearly cost him everything? What would you have done if you were in his shoes? Comment below, because this story hits at something real: courage, fear, second chances, and the gray areas where we decide who we truly are.